Hello, Internet and Sylph Dominic Hawkins coming to you live from my house on this Wednesday night, 21st of October 2020. We're ready for our Wednesday night meditation and Hoshinden meditation and breathwork session. This is session number 26. Oh, apologies that last week we missed a session. I had another meeting, another webinar to attend. Hopefully it was a good opportunity for you to catch up on the last 26 weeks worth of things that we've done. So I'm just moving some things around. And yeah, hopefully it was a good opportunity if you took a whole hour last time not to listen to me talk, but instead to go back through some of the practice and actually take a little listen. I hope you've had a good week. We're going to plow straight into it. A reminder that we're rapidly approaching the end of October and there's some things going to be moving around and changing at the start of November in terms of the dojo and classes. We've been permitted that we can run outdoor non-contact sports classes as of the 1st of November, which I'm setting up. So I'll be organising that and just finding out how we have to make that work, what hoops you have to jump through to make that all above board. So watch out for emails, post updates from me on the page and notes. That's an email newsletters, because that will be fun. Getting started again, getting out to the warm weather, grabbing some bokken and doing some training. I hope that you're ready for that and you haven't just been eating ice cream for the last 7 months. At least one ice cream, one push-up, just to kind of even it up. Or maybe one tub of ice cream, 100 push-ups. So we get started tonight. I'm just going to let people trickle in as they'd like over the next few minutes. I'm going to start by breathing in and out, in through the nose, down into the belly, and out through the mouth. And the tongue just rests on the roof of the mouth, on the outward breath and the inward breath, just behind the top two front teeth. It just sits on the palate and even touches those teeth. As you just breathe in and out, I want you to begin by listening to the sounds that you can hear. Maybe it's the first breath that you've been aware that we've taken all day. First time that you've listened is, for me, been a very busy day today. First time that I sat down and actually listened to my breathing. And something happens to us when we do that. We could talk at length about the different ideas of why they happen, but undeniably something shifts the mental focus or a sense of self or a sense of perception of the current environment. Something alters and it gives us access to a huge array of other sensations, other experiences, other options. And really, the whole purpose of these sensation meditations is just to get us more in touch with that. That's it. It's nothing else. You're not going to levitate during it. I mean, maybe you will, but it's not my intention. Light's not going to burst out of your face. Again, maybe it will. That's not my goal. You're not going to suddenly see all perspectives of everything that's ever happened to you and feel overwhelming compassion to all people. Like, again, maybe that'll happen. It's not really the goal I'm going for tonight. My actual goal and the outcome for these is purely just to assist us take one tiny step further forward in being capable of remembering to listen to the sounds we can hear. Smell what we can smell. Taste whatever we can taste. See what is available to be seen. And feel kinesthetically, tactile, what is available to be felt. And so the meditation is very simple. The purpose of them is to orient ourselves, again, to orient our thinking mind with the experience of the sensations around us. It's not to orient our mind with visualizations. That's a different activity, different purpose, different type of experience. So if you live next door to a construction site, it might be really nice to orient yourself with imagined audible sensations of a tranquil lake or beautiful music rather than like so pros and cons, time for everything. So getting started tonight, we're going to just race forward one more time through 3 breaths in and out through each of the 5 sensations like we just did, and then we're going to roll into a little bit of our chest breathing and our heartbeat observation that we were doing 2 weeks ago. So starting off, whether you're comfortable or not is relevant, and we're going to breathe in and out, in through the nose, down into the belly, and out through the mouth. And when you sit, I know the camera, it's hard to see because you don't see the side of me. I'm not up. I just sit how I want to sit. It's just comfortable. And the head sits over the shoulders, and the shoulders sit over the hips. Yeah, and the hips are just centered. I'm sitting down, so the hips are just on the chair. You just sit. No amount of sitting upright is going to make you more spiritual. Yeah, you just close your eyes. It's amazing how many people would worry about sitting up in the correct fashion, but they do everything they can to resist the actual practice of just listening to the things they can hear, which is the easiest, most boring part of that activity. Really. Boring in the sense of, where's the challenge, you know? The real challenge in meditation is, I just realized I spent the last hour thinking about something else. Right. It's been 3 weeks and I suddenly just realized I was off on some path. Okay. Oh my God, it's been like 5 years and I just realized that I was way down some path of this and I'm the leader of some massive political organization. That's like, oh wait, hang on. That's right. I just remembered I was in meditation. Wow. That was a really big lapse of concentration between those points. So as you take your moment and you just breathe in and out, eyes open or closed, whatever you want. Breathing in and out. And the inward breath fills the body. As you breathe out, the outward breath shapes the structure. Yeah. So if your shoulders want to change shape and your back wants to adjust in the exhalation, allow it to do that. Big breath in and out. You just let your body chill out. Okay. So we're going to start by taking our attention to the audible sensation. What can you hear? We'll take 3 breaths, breathing in and out. And now moving our attention to the olfactory sense of smell. As you breathe in and out, what can you smell? Now changing our attention to the sense of taste. What can you taste? Now take our attention forward to the sense of sight, vision, eyes open or closed, just staring into oblivion. What can you see? 3 breaths. And finally, the sense of tactile feedback, kinesthetic feedback. What can you feel in the body? Physical sensations. I'm not talking about emotional ways. What can you feel physically? Tingling of tissue, or the temperature difference when a draft or a breeze blows past your skin, or an itch on the end of your nose. Eyes open or closed. Last breath. And then we'll just relax. Something I really like to do, it's worth trying if you have some spare time at home, in your busy lives. When I'm sitting, and takes the opportunity, or I'm up to the particular part where I'm observing tactile feedback, I like to take my mental attention to the areas of my body that are feeling a bit sore by sitting. So maybe you've been sitting for a while, and maybe you haven't quite realized, but you're slightly weighted over to one side. And after a while you think, wow, I can't feel that side of my bum at all anymore, or that leg's completely numb. And you only realize, later on. I like to take my focus, my mental attention to those areas and use those areas as the reference point during those meditations. Since I'm there anyway, it seems funny to be kind of trying to avoid the sensation of maybe some part of my body calling out to me like, Dom, help! Meanwhile, I'm focusing intently on the end of my left toe, So I like to just put my focus, my attention there. And what I find is very quickly they subdivide. So they go from being large, like macro pain or aversion to pain. And I look there and I'm like, all right, let's just have a chat with you, buddy. And then very quickly they disconnect. They subdivide into smaller things. And so it turns into things like pressure sensation and prickling, and then I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I look at whichever one of those is kind of calling my attention more, and then that further divides into 2 things. So definitely take the opportunity while we're sitting. If we're doing these kind of practices and these meditations, and you find that the very act of sitting there's parts of your body that are calling out for your attention, give your mental attention to them. Don't give it in a way where you're constantly trying to avoid them and distract yourself with other thoughts. Look straight at them. Just like, bam, really narrow in on them, peer right in on them. If it's a little section in your back, peer right into it and fix your focus on it and look at it. And I guarantee what will happen is it will divide into more detailed, more subtle components that make up what you originally called sensation or pain or pressure or whatever. So definitely take that opportunity. And you might find that in the observation of that, you just have a sense of wanting to adjust, and you'll adjust in such a way that just maybe alters that experience. Yeah, but it'll come through that dialogue with the body. So, moving on tonight, we're going to skip flame hand land, although I love that activity. We're going to skip that tonight, and we're going to go straight into some of our breath activity where we breathe deep, we get into a cycle of the breath, and then we hold the breath and we watch the heart beating. And we're really interested in that feeling of the whole body being pounded back and forward through nothing more than just the sensation of the blood and the pulse. Awesome. If ever you're doing this and you don't find that sensation, you can't find any experience of your heart beating, I recommend going and seeing a doctor. Maybe you don't have a heart, maybe you're a vampire. It could be really good to know that. You can make changes to your dietary needs, try to live out the next 700 years, with a healthy diet. Usually, I'm only half kidding. Usually what you'll find is that you'll be so focused on something other than observing the heartbeat that you're just oblivious to it. In the same way that it's not until you suddenly listen very close to the body that you hear your own breathing. You're like, oh, it's super loud now. But when you're busy with a problem, or you're in the middle of an argument, or you're listening for cars 400 meters away, the breath it's oblivious to you. As far as you're concerned, it doesn't exist. There's a whole philosophy there that we can't get into. Things that you don't experience, that don't exist to you directly. Unless they're affecting you in some way, they basically don't exist. You need to either imagine them, conjure them, or be experiencing them. It's worth keeping that in mind before we ride into war against anything. So, as we take the moment to breathe in and out, we're going to just focus on the throat. So my interest is on the inside of the mouth, and you're going to see this in the breath. So as you breathe in and out, you might be able to experience breath moving and sensation around the nostrils and the mouth itself, the skin of the mouth and the lips. But I want you to focus on the inside of the mouth. So the tongue's really hard. I almost without a lot of time, I often don't experience temperature and air sensation flow through the tongue, over the tongue, but I do the back of the palate, right up the back of the palate. If I take a moment, even breathing through the nose, there's a drying sensation, super subtle sensation of drying on the inward breath and re-moistening on the outward breath. So take a moment, breathe in and out, see if you can experience physical sensation on the inside of the throat through the breath. We'll give this a minute or so. Or maybe 10 seconds if I can't bother, but I'll give you at least 30 seconds. How's that? Sometimes I've watched students suddenly start getting into coughing fits in the middle of. Oh, Hannah said she feels heaps on the tongue. Oh, there you go. Maybe it's just my tongue. See, maybe that's why it's like I can't stand chili or anything like that. Maybe it's actually dead. I don't know. As you're breathing in and out. For me, it's all through the back of the throat. I can feel the sensation of the air passing, and it's a different temperature, and it's kind of drying as well. And so I use that, and if I just watch that in my mind, slowly every breath it builds, gains detail. One more breath, in and out. Okay, so hopefully you built up some beginning reference maybe to sensation in the throat, or the tongue, or the inside of the mouth. So now we're going to take that further down. And as we breathe, we're going to see if we can trace that sensation as far down the esophagus and into the inside of the body. Now you might, this is a tricky one because you're like, ooh, am I feeling stretching of the abdomen on the outside of the, is that just me perceiving the changes to the outside of the skin? This is like, you know, if you get these two fingers and touch, is it that I can feel my right finger touching my left finger or my left finger touching my right finger? Ooh, perspective. So you have to do your best. That's why you start with the reference and then you kind of walk your way down just to see how far you can actually penetrate that experience. And our goal will be to experience the breath filling the cavity of the lung on the inside. So we're going to take a few deep breaths. Start at the throat. And then as you breathe out, just slowly descend that sensation internally. And it might feel as though the lungs are twice the size that they were. It's all just perspective, observation. Keep breathing, filling the lungs from the inside, this sense of sensation. Ooh. Oh. Pardon me. One more breath. Okay, so now we're going to take a big breath in, fill the lungs with breath, and breathe out. And then we're going to breathe in again and hold it. So let's do our full big cycle breath in through the nose, down into the belly, back the throat. Breathing out. Breathing in again. And hold. Hopefully the heartbeat sensation has come right to the forefront. Just watch that sensation. Just feel that pulsing through the body. And breathing out. So breathing out. Again, just natural breath. Allow the breath to just breathe in and out again. And another full breath. Now we're going to breathe in again. And hold. And breathing out. My dog has come to say hi. Breathing in and out. Let's read this activity again. Hopefully at home you are able to find this sensation where the breath stills and the heart beats in and out and in and out. And sometimes that feeling can be so overwhelming, like how loud the breath can be when you listen close to the body, that it feels as though your body is pulsing in and out, and you can feel the lived experience of the pulse of the blood in the being. Incredible feelings, incredible sensation. Something else that can often happen is that it's often the only time that we have, like if we were diving under the ocean holding our breath, or holding our breath because we're trying not to wake the children in the house after tiptoeing or whatever, there's not that many opportunities we have where we hold our breath for extended periods of time. What it does for us is it gives us a glimpse into everything else that's happening beneath the constancy of the cycle of living and dying, living and dying, living and dying, the great inward breath, the great outward breath, all things being built, all things being destroyed. And we kind of exist as little microcosms of that ever-occurring cycle as human beings, as well as any aerobic being may be. And it's often a time when old memories come up to the surface, or old feelings. So if you're holding your breath and there's great pain in your heart, don't be surprised if it bubbles up into your memory. Or even physical pain, holding the breath suddenly shows up in the heart beating, that blood pulse. Old bruises, old injuries, old wounds that you've kind of forgotten about, and they just remind you that they're there. that knee issue, or those back issues, or that wound, or that scar, or whatever. Yeah. So it can be an opportunity to take that time to actually just dialogue with self. Self, not self. I don't need to hear about all your problems. But definitely dialogue with self. If you find that it's becoming overwhelming, then you just maybe hold for as long as you would like. There's no particular prerequisite of that. I really enjoy it. It's a quiet time for me in my usual busy life. So we'll do a third one of those runs. We'll have a normal full breath cycle in and out. Off we go. And down. And in again. And hold. And breathing out. And relax the breath. One of the things that you might find during that process is that other things, other details come into the forefront. One of the things that happens to me whenever I hold my breath is I hear the ringing in my ears. I suddenly hear that tinnitus sense in the ears and the ringing. And it becomes sometimes even louder in volume, in perception, than the sound of the cars driving. Whereas if I listen to them now, I can hear them driving up and down the road outside my house. But when I'm holding my breath, it's almost like the deafening sound of my own eardrums. Incredible, and you can have this experience with the vision as well. You can get to the point where this only happened a few times for me, where with such kind of breath held looking or watching through the eyes and the tissue of the eye, the light changes its sensation. It becomes almost like if your eyes were if it was lots of wet, and you were looking through wet, and it's kind of that weird halo-y, blurry, glowing sensation. You can get like that, where the perception becomes almost non-recognizable and just a smear of colors, as if it's all watercolor and someone's poured water all over the artwork and it's all running. Really, really interesting experiences, really interesting sensations, things that are just not part of the normal everyday experience. Maybe it's worth just checking them out, seeing what it is that happens. Now, probably only got a few more minutes. It's going to be maybe a 40-minute session tonight. I'm going to go back to this heart breath. We're going to breathe in and out in full cycle, and then in, and then hold the breath again. And this time, as soon as we begin feeling the heartbeat pulsing, I want you to immediately use your imagination, take your mind into the fingertips and the toe tips, so your fingers and toes, and just observe, see if that pulsing sensation of the blood pulse is there in the fingertips. So we'll take a normal breath in and out. Breathe in and out. Oh, pardon me. Wow. I think I yawned in every one of these. All right, now we're going to take our big breath in and hold. So big breath into the nose. Tracing down the throat. And hold. And once that heartbeat sensation appears to you, focus on the sensation in the fingertips. See if you can find the same blood pulse sensation in the fingertips while the breath is being held. And does the pulse line up? The heartbeat rhythm and the fingertip pulse, the heartbeat rhythm and the toe pulse. Relax the breath. We'll go one more time. So breathing in and out, full normal breath. And out through the mouth. And in again. And hold the breath. And relaxing the breath. Oh, we're doing that. It was amazing. A fly just walked looked along the light bulb in the studio, and the entire wall had this giant monster. That was awesome. Just breathing in and out, relaxing the breath back into a natural cycle. So we're going to leave it there tonight. Just a few activities, nothing that you haven't done before, just really focusing in on that experience of the heart pulse. And we've still got a few more sessions of these to do. These are really enjoyable activities. They help to show us some of the body functions and the sensations they're always going on. How often is your blood pulsing, really? How long have you been alive? You can probably quantify it roughly. And yet, how many times have we taken the opportunity to experience that directly? Not necessarily academically, but experientially. And what does that do? What does that do to your sense of being alive? Holy crap! You mean there's life? This is the process of happening. This body, this being, is being constantly pumped and enlivened. That's incredible. We don't often find, strangely, it's very weird, we don't find that our aggregated sense of I, the identification of this, we don't often find that it lives in amongst the reeds of all of those experiences. It's often abstracted over here, conceptualizing or academizing and observing, and that's great. But there's gold and wisdom, and there's absolute gems of brilliance and understanding and an experience to be had just inhabiting the flesh. So I'll leave you with that. Have an awesome night. I hope that you've had a good session. Was it Wednesday? So I will see you on Friday night for the next Hoshinden Philosophy and Theory session. We've got a few more podcast interviews rolling out over the next 10 days, which should be awesome. I've lined up 2 really cool people to chat to, so watch out for those, and keep an eye on email inbox, Facebook page, as I update information about, we'll be starting back the outdoor classes of up to 10 people, as I mentioned at the start of the video. Have a good night. Bon voyage.